Hi everybody, I know it's been such a long time. I'm so sorry. I'm about to go to bed. That's why I got my headscarf on. I was tied my hair back and stuff like that. But um so I've been away for a month on this channel. I've actually been in hospital. I had an operation, so it was a major operation. So that is why I've not been uploading and stuff like that. But this is my music technology channel. I'm recovering well. I'm just about to go to bed, so I've got my nightie on, my jumper on, so I'm not all glamorous, but due to calls. But anyway, so because it's a music channel, obviously I'm trying to learn guitar, keyboard, violin, clarinet, harmonica. I've got a couple of instruments I'm trying to learn. But I find like I want to start busking, and I'm thinking actually joining a gospel soul choir as well. It's like only £5 a week, so it'll help me with voice training and stuff like that. But another thing I like to do is I start to buy a lot of CDs and buy autobiographies of musicians I really admire and stuff. So I love Kurt Cobain. He got me through such a dark time. He got me through an abusive childhood, being single, being raised by a single parent, a father that wasn't around. Do you know what I mean? And Kurt Cobain got me through a lot, Nirvana. And so I bought this book. Now, I buy second-hand books because I'm on a budget. Um, I'm not really happy. This is quite warm, this book as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's readable. So I was like, should I go and buy another copy? Because I didn't like the fact that it was worn, but it's readable. Now, I'm already like this is how much I've got left to read. But what I found quite surprising about it is it just shows you the racial issues. When Kurt Cobain says um, that an African American boy asked him for an autograph and he was shocked because he didn't think a black person would like his music, and that just speaks to how racially divided America is. And it's very similar here, to tell the honest truth. It's not in the UK. But another thing that Kurt Cobain said was he doesn't want racist people. If you don't like people because of their colour, their sexuality, um, don't don't buy his records. Don't buy his music. Don't support him. So I like the fact that he's not a racist white guy, and he's standing up for people who are gay and lesbians. I think his younger sister is actually a lesbian, so it kind of makes sense. And I think it said they say Kurt Cobain. I think it says in one of the books it said that he's like bisexual. So anyway, it doesn't matter whether he's bisexual anyway because he married a woman, had a child in it. So and he's dead, unfortunately. But yes, if you're a Kurt Cobain enthusiast, it tells you a lot. The only thing is the writer in this book, Charles R. Cross, he's also dead, but he's quite disparaging about Kurt Cobain. Now, obviously, Kurt Cobain was a cocaine. No, he wasn't a heroin smackhead, as we call it in England. So if you do cocaine, so if you do cocaine, they call you a cokehead. If you do heroin, they call you a smackhead. So he was a smackhead, but so was uh, Courtney Love. And what you find in this book is they both had a childhood where they were moved from different family members because their parents couldn't deal with them. So I can see why they came together. Do you know what I mean? Like Bonnie and Clyde, and they've got a beautiful child. Frances Cobain, Bean Cobain is beautiful, isn't she? I think she looks more like Courtney, let's be honest. But she's got a dad's chin and like the sort of the piercing eyes. But she looks more like Courtney, let's be honest. But honestly, great book. The only thing is, it speaks to the class. In the book, it talks about the class divide because Kurt Cobain, when his mum and dad split up when he's 9, him and his dad go and live with their with the grandfather, the dad's dad, in the trailer park. And it's not like those, and people are like trailer parks in America come in different grades, so you can get trailer parks like we call it caravan here, but there's trailer parks where the house is sort of, it's not permanent, but it looks like a very nice caravan. But that's that's basically how it looks like, well manicured. But it's still the trailer park, isn't it? Let's be honest. So I think he says he's like lower middle class, but I gotta be honest. If you're living in the trailer park with your dad, let's be honest, you're not middle class. I'm sorry, but it's quite obvious that I think he said his dad was a mechanic. Being a mechanic is not a middle class job. I mean, car mechanic. I'm sorry, that's not a middle class job. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I appreciate that they were able to buy their own house, his parents, but being a mechanic, it's not a middle class job. It sounds like his mum and dad and his grandfathers, they only had a high school education. So if you've only got a high school education, I don't think you can claim to be middle class, especially if you're living in the trailer park. Even if you bought your own house, if you a level of education only goes up to high school graduate, then no, you're not middle class. Anyway, he's a high school dropout as well. The whole band of Nirvana, Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, they're all high school dropouts. So, and he came from a broken home. And I get the feeling that Kirk is clinically depressed. Another thing that's interesting about the book is, sadly, Kirk, he had a long-term illness. He had some type of stomach, irritable bowel syndrome. He had some stomach problems. And he says that's the reason why he starts taking heroin, because, like many doctors, they don't know what's wrong with them. They're doing all these different tests. They find that his stomach's inflamed, and they're giving him all these different drugs, but it doesn't help. So he starts taking heroin, so he's not in pain, because his inflamed stomach stopped him from eating. So every time he was eating, he was in pain. He was in pain constantly. And this is what you do find with addictions. Quite often, people get addicted due to illness. Do you know what I mean? Like, they start taking alcohol or cocaine or heroin because it's an opiate, innit, to get rid of the pain and be out of pain. Do you know what I mean? So that is what you find, and it's very sad. I think it says towards the end of his life, they finally got him on the right medication to get rid of his stomach pain, but by then he was a full-blown heroin addict. It also talks in the book. It talks about this is not meant to be a book review. I don't think it's actually meant to be a book review, but it's going to end up being a book review. Anyway, in halfway through it talks about meeting Courtney Love, and it basically talks. She does heroin, but she's not doing it a lot. It's him that's doing the heroin, and she says that she realised that if she wanted to be with Kurt, she had to do heroin with him, because that's the type of woman that he was looking for. Do you know what I mean? He was a smackhead. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I don't believe he killed himself. Because they say the level of heroin that was in his body, there's no way he would have been able to pull the trigger. So I personally think he was murdered and stuff. And they also said that he was getting watched by the CIA and the FBI because he was a punk, and he was a punk who believed in anarchism, anarchy, like the anarchist kind of cookbook type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a hippie, basically, a hippie or a punk. Do you know what I mean? So he attracted the intelligence services in America, but that's another story. But yeah, so I would recommend the book. The only thing I would say is the author, Charles. He's the middle class white guy with a college degree, and I think he says he spends a lot of time calling Kirk a liar and telling fantasy stories. Now, obviously, they lose their child due to being smackheads. Both of them being smackheads, and Courtney Love. Let me show you a picture of Courtney. I got Courtney's book as well. Courtney does and Kirk do a Vanity Fair interview, And basically, what happens is, um, she says she did heroin when she was pregnant, so they take Frances away from them for about a month, and they have to do drug tests before they can get her back. And then the whole way through Frances' life, she's losing custody of her because she's a smackhead. Do you know what I mean? Courtney Love and stuff like that. But it's quite funny because the book tries to say like, oh, in America, the draconian idea that smackheads can't look after their child. You know what I mean? And not just the danger to the child, and the child needs to be taken away. But I don't think it's draconian. This idea that smackheads can take care of a child, because Francis Kirk, being Cobain, became an addict as well. Do you know what I mean? So addicts create addicts. Do you know what I mean? And Frances talks about having to her being about 13 and having to stop her mum from overdosing and calling the ambulance. Do you know what I mean? So that's not a life that any child should have to go through. So as painful as it is, do you know what I mean? It's a pity that Kurt couldn't have found the medicine to help his stomach before he got addicted to heroin. But it does say in the book that he was taking, like, his mum sounds real. His mum is just like, and his mum and dad come across as really unsupportive. Like, his mum throws him out because I think, like, he didn't graduate from he's high school dropout. He doesn't get a job. He finds this really beautiful, kind girlfriend that's there together. I think it's at Tracy for like 3 or 2 years, and she basically does all the work, and he has one or two jobs that he never stays at, but spends his time writing music and perfecting his art, and gigging for like no money. Really beautiful, like teenage love, puppy love type of thing. Um, but I think that's when he wrote his first album, you know, with Tracy. But so yeah, do you know what I mean? But I really felt like I could understand, because my mum was really unsupportive when I was a teenager, and I didn't want to go to college. We were like poor, we were like dirt poor, we didn't have a fucking father. I had to go to, I had to go to work. Do you know what I mean? And save money to go to college. Do you know what I mean? So I can really understand, um, getting kicked out and having to find a place to live and stuff like that, because you've got unsupported parents that don't want you to go into art and follow your dreams and stuff like that. No, I don't think it's sad in terms of, like, a lot of people think Courtney Love killed Kurt Cobain, but I don't believe she did. I think it's more likely to do with his friends, the smackhead friends that are around him. Because that's only common when you got a drug addiction problem. If you're the one with the money, people do anything to get the money that you've got. So I think it's more to do with his friends. And Courtney's got all the money she needs out of him because she married him. She had his baby. She got access to Kirk's money. Why would she kill him? Do you know what I mean? Why would you kill him it's like killing the cash cow. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. She's already got access to the money. She doesn't have a motive to kill him and stuff. And then people say, oh, because he wanted to divorce her. Whether he wanted to divorce her or not, Courtney was in a fucking strip club, stripping to pay for equipment for her band. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's clearly knows how to work. You know what I mean? Like, I think she was in Japan at 15 and went to Hong Kong at 15. She's really been around, Courtney. She's not work shy. So this idea that, she has to bump Kirk up to get money. Now she could have just gone back to the strip club. Do you know what I mean? She's clearly, she's not work shy. Do you know what I mean? So it's but yeah. Anyway, so I don't believe she killed Kirk. I think it's all the bullshit. Anyway, but this author is quite disparaging in the beginning about Kirk, and I think it's to do with him being a smackhead, but also with him being from the trailer park and working class. I think the class divide really shows. I don't think it was the best idea to have a middle class white man write about a working class white man from a broken home who's a smackhead and a great musician. Do you know what I mean? I honestly think it would have been better um, if they would have got someone who was working class that understood. I don't think this author really understands Kirk's um, life, because you only have to Google this guy Charles, and he's from Seattle, but you only have to Google him. He's a middle class white guy. Yeah, I mean, this guy's never been thrown out on the street, because like Kirk was living on the street under the bridge at like, I think it was like 16, 17 when his mum threw him out, and his dad didn't want to know. Do you know what I mean? The grandparent, you know what I mean? He was on the streets, sleeping on people's verandas, and it says in one of the documentaries, it says he went to go and stay with a friend, and the friend was a teacher, and he stayed at that family for a year, and the parents never called the teacher once to find out about their son. I'm telling you, do you know what I mean? So people, do you know what I mean? The parents, his parents weren't supportive. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? They were just like, mechanics. Can't remember what they said. I can't remember what. I think they said the mum might have been a receptionist or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just, normal class, working class people. But the good thing is, Kurt's had an auntie, which is his mum's sister, that she used to uh, be in a band, and she had a tape recorder, so she helped him, record his music and stuff like that. So he says that the creative side comes from, and also the dad's, his uncle is a good artist as well. And then his paternal grandmother was, I think it was Ivy. She was an artist as well. She was good at drawing and stuff like that. So he's on both sides of his family, his mum and dad's side. They're artistic. Do you know what I mean? So it comes out in Kirk, and then obviously Frances, she's a visual artist and an amazing singer and plays guitar. You can see her music on YouTube and stuff like that. So if you're a Kurt Cobain fan, it's a really good book, even though it's a bit it is disparaging. So I got different books on Kurt Cobain. This is long video, but you're just gonna have to hold it. I got this one, Love and Death: The Murder of Kurt Cobain. Now I don't know. Do you think it's a good idea to read more than one book at the same time? Um, do you know what I mean? I don't know, but I probably am gonna start reading this one, because the good thing, because when you read different books, it can explain things that are not explained in this book, can be explained in other books, yeah. But I was watching, I think it's Patty from Hole, who's the drummer of Hole, Courtney Love's band Hole, and her documentary has Kurt Cobain and Courtney in it, so it sort of explains what's going on in this book, because obviously, Patty was living with Kurt Cobain and Courtney, and she was also a smackhead. The whole of every I tell you who's a smackhead. Kurt's a smackhead. Courtney's a smackhead. Patty, the drummer in Hole's a smackhead. Eric, the guitarist, is a smackhead. He's on drugs too. Kirsty, who dies, who Kirsten, I think her name is, who is the bass player in Hole, dies 2 months after Kirk allegedly commits suicide of heroin overdose. It's just full of smack, cokeheads. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I've worked in entertainment in the nightclub industry, and drugs are awash there. So it's not really. I'm not surprised, to tell you honestly, because I've worked in that type of industry myself, so I understand. You've got to be very strong to say no. But yes, so they're just all smackheads and cokeheads, and do you know what I mean? I also watched Courtney Love's documentary, and she talks about how hard it was to get off drugs while pregnant, while living with a smackhead, meaning her husband. Do you know what I mean? It's not surprising that she's lost custody of the daughter and she's been through so much. But yeah, would I recommend? I wouldn't recommend buying it brand new because the author's quite disparaging about Kirk in the beginning. But buy it second hand. You need a bit of second hand. Don't give him. He's a dead man anyway. This Charles, the writer, the author. So he's not going to go to him anyway. If you, but no, honestly, so I would buy it second hand and read it. What else have I got? So I've got quite a lot of different books on. So I've got Courtney Love, Dirty Blonde. I couldn't find it. They wanted. It's out of print as well. So I got it second hand. I could only get it in the German version. And I am learning German. I've been learning German for years. And this is going to motivate me to learn German better because it's in freaking German. Do you know what I mean? So for me to understand what's being written, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's called Dirty Blonde and Courtney Love. It's actually, I really like it. It's black and white. It's a really, that's Courtney as a child. But yeah, Courtney Love is amazing in the sense of there's not many women that play guitar and are on a rock band. Only 8% are women in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That tells you everything you need to know. It's hard to be a woman in a man's world. Do you know what I mean? So, and she's an actress as well. She's in The People versus Larry Flint, which is Hustler magazine for you people who don't know. Like that porn satire, political commentary magazine. Film. It's about Larry Flint, the guy that owned Hustler magazine. That's another beautiful picture of Courtney. Really nice pictures. I need to learn German so I can actually read this book. Because the English version was like £40 and I wasn't going to pay £40 for a book on Courtney Love. This cost me like £16. So then the next book I've got, Courtney Love, second hand again. I don't buy things brand new. The Real Story. I've not started to read this. I've not started to read it, but I will. I think it's just so sad that women have got to go and work in a strip club in order to buy instruments. It's a real indictment of the school, isn't it? That you've got to go and end up stripping to go and buy equipment for your band. That's some pictures of Courtney. Do you know what I mean? And her friends. There's another band that she was in the beginning. And it was actually quite good. They've got like 4 tracks. Can't remember what it's called, but this is Courtney when she was younger, and then I think who's that with? Oh, that's Kirk and Courtney. Courtney and Kirk's mum. Yeah, and that's Kirk when with his dad. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, so even though it's Courtney's book, obviously there's a lot of Kirk in it. I definitely recommend that you watch the BBC documentary on Courtney because it's so sad because she's holding on to his clothes like 15 years later. But the jacket that he died in. It's just it is so sad. Do you know what I mean? She clearly loved him. You know what I mean? But another thing I've noticed don't they always like to say that the woman killed the husband? And they're obsessed. Like I'm on this Facebook group called I think it's Kirk's Army or Kurt Cobain, and they're always slagging her off, which is so sad. But they don't have proof that she killed him. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like they're always accusing Courtney of having her music written by Kirk, but they forgot to mention that she's got Patty the drummer, she's got Eric, her former boyfriend, who is the guitar player, and she's got the other bass electric player. And so you're telling me all three of those people are untalented, and the only person that's talented is Kurt Cobain, and he's wrote all the music while there's another four people in the band, including Courtney. Do you know what I mean? It's very sexist. What Courtney Love did was revolutionary because she had a band that was, you might as well just call her band a female band, because she had like one guy, her former boyfriend, in there, and a woman drummer, for goodness sake. How many rock bands you see a woman drummer? Let's be honest. Yeah. So you've got that. So I've got that book. What else a book? Have I got any other books? Yeah, I've got quite a few books. I've got quite a few books coming. I'm just keeping buying them. So I've got this one. This is by his, I don't know, manager. It's by Danny Goldberg. Serving a Servant, Remembering Kurt Cobain. Yeah. I've not had a look at this. Is a hardback, but it's second hand. There's no pictures in this. Just one picture of him and Danny. Not read it yet. But yeah, I'm just going to keep on getting lots of books on Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. Now, I've got other books, but because this book it's gone, this review is gone. It wasn't even meant to be a Kurt Cobain book review, but I just suddenly just start talking about Kurt Cobain. Anyway, the next book I'm reading is Jimi Hendrix. I started to read a bit of this, starting from zero. The contrast in he's from Washington State, just like Kurt Cobain, but he was actually raised and born in Seattle. I don't know if he's born in Washington, but basically his family are from Seattle and Vancouver in Canada. And the contrast in his life and Jimi Hendrix as a black person, with the racial segregation and the discrimination that African American people faced at the time when he was born. He was born in 1940s, and Kurt Cobain was born in 1967. But it just shows you the racism, inherent racism, that Jimi Hendrix suffered. Now, obviously, both of them they're both part of the 27 Club. Kurt Cobain dies at 27. Jimi Hendrix dies at 27. The 27 Club. Both great musicians. Now, obviously, there's obviously there's numerology in it, and astrology. I prefer numerology than astrology, because I find astrology, when you used to read your horoscope, it never used to make sense. But like numerology, if you do, you write your name, you add up the numbers, and then the birth chart, and you align the stars and what. And what I found is, when you do numerology and the date of when you were born and stuff like that, I always come up as an artistic person, and it talks about, like, even the lifeline. It talks about the lifeline, and it shows like a break in my lifeline, because I had a really hard childhood. I suffered a lot, but then it goes down to normal, and I do believe that certain things are written in the stars, and I believe in not numerology more than astrology, but I do believe that these things are written. You can tell someone's destiny by their name and etc. and stuff, the time they were born, the date, etc., etc., and what they're destined to do. Do you know what I mean? So I'll talk about that another time. Anyway, oh god, this is like 30 minutes, isn't it? But so we can call this a book review, and we might as well just call this video a book review for this Heaven Then Hell. Yeah. Definitely worth buying, but buy it second hand. Don't buy it what do you call it? Which is brand new. So I will do a book review on this one when I've read it. I'll do a book review on Courtney Love um, book, and then obviously Love and Death, the mid of Kurt Cobain. Anyway, people, rock on, people. And next time I'm going to be a lot more presentable. But I'm literally just going to bed, people. This is why I look the way I do. Anyway, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share my videos. I actually like to enjoy. I enjoy doing that book review. Um, I've not been reading books for a long time, but I started to get into it. But you know, it's nice to just sit there for like half an hour or so before you go to bed and just like read a book. It really relaxes your mind and stuff. So, yeah, I would recommend the book. So I'll put a link to the books that I bought in the description bar. Okay, bye bye.